I don't think many people are in there now. If you do want to participate, we'd obviously like to get you to engage as well, asking questions and so on, because this is a forum to be able to share with colleagues across the UK. We've got 4 speakers coming from the regional support centres, including myself. And if you want to engage in some way or another, then type away in the chat pane. In the bottom left-hand corner, there's also emoticons button there you can actually use, say, with your happy, applause, confusion, and so on. If you do have to go away, you've got to perhaps answer the phone because you're at the desk at the moment, or you need a quick brew and you can't wait, then if you can just click the step away button, please, and then obviously click it when you come back. If you do want to use the microphone, then we encourage that, but if you can just raise your hand, please, by clicking the 3rd button there. That just allows everyone to come in a sort of coordinated fashion. And there's a voting button there. We've already asked you if you can just give us a quick tick if you can hear me okay. And that will generally be a yes or no, but I know there's a multi-choice one coming a little bit later, but we'll tell you to click that button when necessary. So moving on then, this is the MIS forum. I'm using it, or we're using it particularly as an addition to the CMIS GIST mail list that's very active, I know, but here's a chance to actually sort of meet online in a live sort of environment. It is a forum, so whilst this is the first one that we've had online, my hope is we'll be running other ones. So if you've got issues that you wish to raise, perhaps you'd like to see guest speakers of some sort or another for the next one, which we hope to be using next term, then please send them through to myself or one of my colleagues. For today, there's 4 of my colleagues, including myself, that have got the finger on the pulse as far as what's actually happening out there. And with that, we've sort of set an agenda with data and a framework for MIS self-evaluation, about 15-20 minutes or so on that. Then looking at providing a portal for parents and employers to access student data, and then some time to talk about Oracle licensing, and then finally it's a sort of 10-minute roundup at the end for you to chip in, and ask any questions. Some of you may have a burning question, and someone in the actual forum group may have an answer. But please don't let that stop you actually contributing during the session, and we're keeping an eye on the chat pane to actually answer any questions as we go along. So we're hoping to finish by 3 o'clock, and we'll be running fairly strict to time if we can do. So without further ado, I'm going to hand you over to our first speakers this afternoon, which are Martin and Julian from RSE London. Okay, take it away. I'm going to turn the video off now.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Can you just indicate with a little tick if you can hear me? Is that okay? Oh yeah, there's some ticks coming up there. Great, excellent. Thanks very much. Yes, so I'm Martin Seeping from the GIST Regional Support Centre, London. I'm just going to talk to you now for about 10 minutes, just giving you an overview of this Management Information Service review that we've been working on in London. I'll just move the slide on. What I'll do is just give you some introductions. I'll tell you a little bit about the meetings that we've been having in London over the last year. Talk a little bit about why we might want to review the Management Information Service, or why you might want to review the Management Information Service, how the review works, and then take questions. So. Right, so there we are. There's our contact details there. Please feel free to to also follow this up online afterwards if you want to. Last year in RSC London we held six meetings where we focused on data and what data can do in the college, what different areas of the college might need to do with data, or might or raise their awareness about what's possible to do with data. And these meetings were really groups of mainly MIS people who came together to talk about how their colleges are using it and how they should be using data to support the wider objectives of the college. These were workshop style events, and as a result of all of this we produced a framework which is still, I think it's fair to say, is still in is in beta form, and we would very much like to hear your feedback as to whether this would be useful to you, and but also if this would be if you've got ideas or suggestions as to how this could be improved. So let's just get to. So I thought we'd just sort of have one quick slide on why you would want to do this, and I can imagine a lot of you sitting there thinking, well, I've got enough to do without getting involved in actually self-assessing your IT service or your MIS service. But I mean, as you know, all of the curriculum areas will go through the self-assessment process themselves in preparation for their quality, as part of your quality assurance, and in preparation for your inspection regime. So in some colleges, in the college I used to work in, we used to do a self-assessment for the non-teaching areas as well. Even though this wasn't part of what Ofsted were interested in, we used to do self-assessment for the support staff, support areas as well. And when I first was given the task of doing this, I thought this is another whole lot of work for us. But actually going through the process, I think did realise some benefits, and I've listed some of them there, which may or may not be important to you. But I guess the key benefit really was, in my experience certainly, was getting management and managers across the college to really recognise the professionalism of the Management Information Services team and the function within the college, the critical function that it has, which is, I think, in lots of colleges I've worked in, there's a lot of recognition for teaching staff and their professionalism, but I think some of the support staff areas are less recognised, and this is, to me, this is an opportunity to be able to do that. Yeah, go.
Yeah, can I just sort of chip in? I mean, I've been reading some of it, and it looks really, really good. The point I'm just sort of asking is, this is very relevant to other sectors as well, isn't it? Work-based learning, adult community, anybody that's got some dealings with data.
Absolutely. I would hope very much that this would be something. It's a generic. Could be used in a generic way like that. So yes, certainly. Good point. So I mean, I think it might be useful to really think about this in terms of when we take questions in a few minutes, just to think about whether these or other benefits might come out of this sort of process. So how does the self-assessment review work? Well. Clearly, different colleges and different providers have different setups for the way they manage data and they manage the various functions of MIS. But so I think the first thing you need to do is what is it that the MIS service delivers. I mean, in some colleges, obviously, exams is embedded within that. In others, it's a completely separate area. So you need to first of all get an idea of the scope of the MIS service, and then look at strengths and weaknesses of your service, as you would do in a SAR, self-assessment review, and look at the evidence for strengths and weaknesses. So it's not just perceptions; it's got some basis in evidence. And then look at, we've actually broken it down into different areas scored, which you will have a look at in a minute. And then we also thought about having some external validation or or input. And I think this is critical, because with management information, you're usually the only people in the college with that particular skill set and with the understanding of actually what and any depth of what MIS does. So getting an external person in to peer assess it, rather than say a curriculum manager or a vice principal, is probably preferable. And of course, it gives you maybe a more objective viewpoint. And then after you've gone through this process, you produce a development plan, to address the issues that you find. So that's the sort of logic of it. And these are some photographs of our high-tech approach to this. As you can see, it involved lots of sticking sheets, post-it notes on walls. But I hope you can read that. But these are the different functions of MIS that we identified, and then we broke it down into the different. We broke it down again, very high tech, as you can see. We broke it down into different criteria. So, as you see here, this works in terms of columns. So the different areas of management information: ILR funding returns, data quality, information handling, reporting, and so on. We asked each participant to score themselves high, medium, or low. And here are some of the other criteria. So we've got exams there, planning, timetabling, utilization, curriculum design, marketing, web, and then there's a lot of other things: systems, admin, development integration, data integration, learner tracking, pastoral support, learner journey, registers, and attendance. So, these slides, Gordon will make these slides available for you afterwards. But and it's probably quite difficult to read on the screen. But these are just statements in terms of high, medium, and low, which are designed to give you something that you can measure yourself against. So to see where you fit in terms of these different activities. One of the things that's not mentioned on here, which I think might be something people want to comment on, is the role of MIS in advising managers, curriculum managers in curriculum planning, and also the role of MIS in advising SMT in wider kind of organisational planning. The thing the principal and the head of finance always want to know is are you going to achieve your allocation? Are you going to, how much funding is the college going to generate next or this year, so that they've got some basis for planning. So I think those things maybe should be added to this. So that's a very brief overview, really, of the service, and I suppose my questions to you are: is this something that might be useful to you? Could it be improved? Have you got ideas for how it could be improved? And also, how do you think your management would respond to you carrying out something like this? With that, I'll stop talking and take any questions. Yes, Gordon.
Is there a particular time of the year that you're thinking this review would be done at all, Martin? Well,
probably. I think that, again, that would be something that be interesting to hear what people say. But I would guess the autumn term would be a good time to avoid, and especially when the problems with funding software. But so I think possibly the spring and summer terms would be better than the autumn term. So, do we have any other comments, questions, or?
Kevin's just got some in the chat pen there. How do people access the review tool? I think you say it's a bit of work in progress at the moment, but is it available just yet, or what?
Yes, I mean, well, in the London area, we have this sort of as a beta service, if you like. So we have our data forum meetings planned for next year, for 2014, which will start in the next term, and we'll be taking this around to different colleges. But if you want to use it outside London, we can certainly send you the paperwork that we've got on it. If you want to either use it independently or use it in conjunction, facilitated by your RSC.
Okay. Can I just ask people in the room if they would be interested in this? If they can just give us a quick tick in the tick box, please. All right, and then we can see about getting it together and then perhaps sending it round to the participants. Even if they just had a look at it and and thought, well, perhaps it's not for me. I'm going to ask another question in a minute, actually. That would be quite relevant. So there's a few actually coming in with that. Any others? There's 8, 9, 10. It's coming on. So yeah, I think there is certainly interest in that tool. Okay. Yeah. Good. Okay. Thanks. I'm going to ask another one actually, and that's about service level agreements. You mentioned in the presentation there, Martin, about self-evaluating, but another making it important for other people in the organisation to understand just how fundamental the data is there. Does anyone has anyone in the room got service level agreements for MIS? If anyone wants to. So Paul says yes. Paul, sorry, what organisation are you from? College or web-based learning? Or if people want to give me a tick, all right, or a cross, say yes or no. I think okay. Thanks, Paul. Okay. So some work in progress there. Because I know that Martin is looking at a service level agreement as well. He shared one with me. So perhaps that might be of interest to you. So there's a number of people that haven't. In fact, there's more people that haven't got one than ones that have. So perhaps there's a need for that and to share as well. Okay. Thanks for ticking and crossing in that one. So, okay. I'm just going to pick up on a few more comments in there. Been asked to do one, but nothing yet. Work in progress. Developed for Gordon College. Looks like we'll be implementing in the next year or so. Yeah. I think service level agreements are very important, really, and it applies not just to. I mean, historically, I know them being in the technical department and the IT support, having they will respond to an inquiry on the help desk within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, or whatever, depending on the urgency. But I think MIS areas and HR and finance and all those things, when they get inquiries in, there needs to be some sort of service level agreement. So, and MIS particularly, I mean, the work that you guys are actually doing it's just amazing, really, and just so much to do. Data is so important.
Yeah, Gordon. I mean, the one that I shared with you is actually, people can you can share that with this group if you like, because I've been given clearance by that college to do that. But I mean, I think it's certainly good to have or to firm up the understanding across the college of what of what the MIS, what people can expect of the MIS department, and what in a way implicit in that also is, I think, their responsibilities. In order, if you think about the way data flows across the college, they have a responsibility for providing you as MIS with timely information so that you can reflect it in the systems. and you know, it needs to be, you know, there needs to be an organisation-wide collective responsibility for data and for planning and for data quality and all of those things. And I think you know, service level agreement is not the answer, but it's part of the, you know, it's part of the solution, I think, to that issue. I don't know if Julian can hear us, or if he's there, but he was part of this process as well. I don't know if Julian wants to say anything.
Hello there, Martin. Thanks for that. I could just say, I was going to add, the way we were thinking of you could use this tool this year, this is to reinforce what you said really, was really two-pronged thing of doing it with, if we, say at the RSCs, could facilitate sessions where a small working group would get together and look at their own profile. So in other words, it'd be a sort of peer review, maybe say 3 or 4 MIS managers together from, you know, 3 or 4 providers. That would, I could see that taking it forward. And the other would then be, we could offer a service really whereby we could go back with the MIS manager back to their own provider and help them with their own peers across the organisation to do something like a sort of 360-degree reflection, a sort of visioning session, you know, for staff, what they could do, and so on. So really, that's a small plug for what we think perhaps we might be able to do in terms of helping you with it. And I certainly recognise by some of the names of people here were part of this setup, and so really this is a quick pre-Christmas invite that to look out for this in the spring. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, can I just chip in and sort of go back on some of the questions that came up in chat from Darryl and Paul and so on. Martin and Julian, do you think this will develop into a GISC info kit of some sort?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can see John Cole and Deo and a few others in the list of delegates here. I mean, you guys, some of you guys were involved in this, so I don't know if you want to say anything or add anything.
If you do want to chat, there's the talk button that you need to press. I don't know if somebody will be trying to talk and haven't actually pressed the button. I've done that many times before. There's a talk button top left hand corner-ish underneath the video pane. Give it a go if you do want to, or just type into the chat.
I mean, one thing I would say about our approach is that you know, we try to make it so that you know, you are very much being peer assessed by people who actually understand what you do. You know, and that might be preferable, or it might not, but it might be preferable to the, you know, to the alternative. I was actually working in college a long time ago where the principal decided to get, you know, an external audit firm to come in and assess the MIS service, and you know, it was, you know, I don't know, I don't really know what the value of that would be really. You know, you get KPMG in or something like that, but you know, you know, to what degree they'd actually have a full picture of what's going on.
Perhaps it's something we could follow up on afterwards and see how, you know, who the agencies are that might benefit from it and who could, you know, feed into it. Perhaps it's something that KPMG want to keep to themselves, though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just want to pick up on a couple of other questions, you know, happened previously. How do you think it will handle varying sizes of colleges?
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, I think that I certainly think it is scalable, but I think in terms of, I mean, I would suggest that the ideal would be, you know, carefully, if you do pair up with different, you know, to get peer input, you know, is pairing up with people from similar type of institutions. So, say for example, you know, sixth form colleges, you know, getting sixth form colleges to work together, or getting, you know, large general FE colleges to work together, or adult learning services, rather than trying to, you know, I think if you were an MIS manager in a fairly small adult learning service, you might, it might not work too well peering up with a massive FE college. But certainly I think I certainly think in every other way it should be scalable.
Okay, thanks. And I think just maybe one final question that John asked earlier is: any plans to allow benchmarking against other colleges, or highlight colleges or other organisations that have self-assessed themselves as high on the framework?
Well, I think we could do that, but I mean, my instinct would say not to. But I mean, if somebody feels that there is a fairly scientific way of doing that, I think it would be very interesting to talk to them. But I think in lots of ways these things are inherently, in some ways, they're inherently subjective. So I think, I mean, you can say to people, are your systems fully integrated? And some people say yes, and then you ask a few more questions, and you think, well, they're not quite. And so I mean, I think there is a subjective element, and so I'm. It's an interesting debate. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
But I'd certainly be interested in hearing from anybody who feels that there would be a fairly objective way of doing that. Yeah.
James says that regional peer review development groups are data benchmarking again this year in the region. Sorry, James, I'm not sure of the region that you're in. I don't have the list in front of me. So there is some data benchmarking going on. East Midlands, wide in Midlands. Okay, thank you, James. So that'll be worth just keeping an eye on. I mean, I'm in the East Midlands region myself, so I'll keep an eye on that, but we'll see what else is going on. So perhaps Martin and I can chat afterwards.
Yep, sounds good.
To see about other benchmarking data that could be possible. Okay. Any other questions? Because I'm just conscious of the time, sort of trying to move on if we can. Okay, it looks fairly clear there from the questions point of view. Hopefully, thanks very much, James. I've shared a document, the service level agreement. Did that come through at all? It should have hopefully prompted you. So yeah, there's a number of ticks there. So the service level agreement, obviously, it mentions an organisation there. So search and replace, is that what we do? I don't know, but you get the idea. So okay, well, it's certainly a good start, I would say. Okay, right. Thanks very much, Martin and Julian.
Thank you.
Really appreciate that. Some good work going on there, I would say, and watch this space, and we'll see what it can be developed into. So, okay, right. So let's just have a look. Right, it's me time to come in here, and this was something that was raised by Noel, who's actually chatting a little bit later. So I certainly welcome contributions from Noel as well. What might be happening in the southwest region. But I've noticed this coming along as well in a number of providers. I was in a provider the other day and was talking about this, and they say yes, it's definitely coming along, and they're doing some work on it. But this is actually providing a portal for parents and employers to access data about their students, about their kin, and so on, and apprentices and things. So. A quick sort of vote, I think, if we can. I'm just going to do a quick sort of change. Hopefully we're okay with that. Right. Of the people that are in the room at the moment from the providers, can you just, on that tick box previously, can you go to the voting one? And if you're actually, A, providing a portal for parents, employers now, B, you're looking at providing a portal in the near future, or C, you've decided not to provide a portal. So if you can click A, B or C, please, that would be helpful. Right, votes still coming in. Okay, there's the ones that are looking at it in the near future are sort of in the lead at the moment, but sort of doesn't surprise me. Okay, and there's some that have decided not to provide a portal. That's fine. You know, and then there's quite a few that are actually providing a portal in there. Still the list is about not far off even actually, between those that have got one already and those that are thinking of providing one. I'd certainly be interested in some of the issues that you know, those that have actually got a portal already. If there's anything that sort of crops up on the slides that I'm going to put in, you know, certainly chip in. Please do that. Raise your hand and chat, or just type in the chat room. Thanks very much for those. I'm just going to do hopefully a quick publish to there. So the Bs were just slightly in the lead, and there's some that haven't done the vote there. That's fine. Okay. Right. Okay. Right. So for those that have already done it, right? Yes, do chip in, and perhaps the reasons why. You know, you actually introduced the portal if I haven't mentioned it already. But you know, these are some of the reasons why we need to be having a portal for parents and employers. Even to think about it and then dismiss it at a later stage. But seriously, I think all organisations now need to consider having a portal. And the reasons I'm sort of suggesting, and I've sort of read about and seen from other providers that have got portals, these were their reasons. Parents often have this facility as their kin go through the school, and so expect it from providers. And if they don't get it, will they vote with their feet? It's an interesting possibility. Will they actually go to another provider that does use a portal? So, you know, their parents could be wanting to make sure that their kin are actually successful and want to keep tabs on them and make them, you know, come out have the best chance of actually succeeding. I make mention of parents a lot of the time, but it's sort of transferable with employers as well. So where I say parents, you know, it could well be that I mean employers. So bear that in mind as I say things. It's been sort of proved that, you know, it does improve success rates of students. You can't beat mum or dad just actually having a word with a student when they find that they're not probably handing in assignments on time, for example, and so on. And because you're actually providing them with information from the organisation, from the college, for example, you're actually improving the relationship with parents and employers. So, you know, what could you actually have in the portal? These are some of the things that most providers are actually putting in, but there's some other possibilities as well. Most are actually providing on portals student attendance, and timetable, and exam timetable. And some are actually providing student marks, and the progress and disciplinary issues. And also some are actually providing absence notifications. So this is where the parent is actually, instead of ringing in perhaps and struggling to get hold of somebody in the college, for example, and say that, you know, John or Mary won't be able to come in. You know, here's an online solution to actually go in there and actually submit a form that they won't be in this afternoon, this evening, for the next 2 days, or whatever it might be. So, you know, they've got an absent notification system. Other things to consider if you're not already for a portal is a payment system where parents can actually log in and they can actually pay for trips and probably top up printing credits, top up funds for art and design materials, or perhaps, you know, hair and beauty, makeup, you know, all those sort of curriculum areas have got different needs in some form or another, and sometimes the students have to pay for them. And here's a chance for actually parents to actually contribute, and potentially employers as well. And it could be seen almost as a sort of cashless vending type system, but not actually vending as such. But it could be if you tie it in with the relevant technology. the refectory could, the student could have credits in their system to actually get food and make sure that they're being fed, in the refectory. Has anybody else got any other facilities that they're offering through their portal, of the sort of 10 or so providers that have actually got one in the room? Or anyone else got some other ideas, perhaps, that could go on there? Certainly these are the ones that I'm seeing, are in the portals that are scattered across the country. Patrick's typing away there, so thank you, and Sarah. So there's a few coming in, I think. Okay. Given the skill sets required to build an online portal, are there any third-party software that can provide this? There's none that I know of, but that doesn't mean to say there isn't. Noel's coming in, if offering payment, is it one account, or do you differentiate and prevent spend from one account into another area? It's certainly an issue to sort of consider. Patrick, what I'll do, I haven't got an answer, I don't know if anyone else has, where they've gone to offering a solution. Has anyone used in a particular company? eTracker, thank you, Nick. I'll look at some other possibilities as well. Learner progression, something employers always wants to know. Yeah, thank you, Sarah. I'll take away all the comments in the chat. SharePoint, destination capture. Yeah, portals are difficult. Fabco. Okay, this is good. Thank you very much. This is the whole idea of actually bringing people online together so they can actually share what's happening between one provider or another. And using Dropbox is a solution as well with one of our funders. Okay, Pro Portal, Parent Pay. Yeah. Okay, so there are a number of systems out there, but we'll try and collate some. This is the sort of information that we're currently trying to collect at the moment from providers, but also from vendors as well, so we can actually push that around. Has anyone asked a question on the CNIS network just now, Liz, perhaps? Perhaps I might, because there's a bigger audience there. It might be actually worth posting that. It'd be worth bringing together a solution so we do not have to reinvent the wheel. I couldn't agree more, but sometimes different organisations have difficulty collaborating, shall we say. Guerrero, okay, thanks, Darryl. And some universities are built from Bend. I know that some would have teams, the larger organisations may have web development teams, either through the SharePoint or through their intranet or through their website, actually have the capability to actually provide a bespoke system. The thing I would say with bespoke systems is that's all very well, but just making sure that it's properly supported, and particularly if that member of staff or members of staff actually leave. This is the only issue with having bespoke systems, as no doubt some of you probably know. Key members of the development team leaving can leave you in a bit of a lurch. Okay, thank you. There's some good input there, but we'll take away some more and actually provide you with more information after. Okay, I'm just going to move on. So the portal for parents, actually getting parents to use it. I would say some of the tips that are coming out are actually involving parents in the design process in some form or another. So you may have parent governors, for instance, but perhaps a survey, perhaps build a dummy system, one that could actually be passed around so that people can get an idea, or maybe a few sort of pilot sort of sites. Then once you've got a system in place, actually promoting parent awareness about it and how they can access it. Some parents may not have the technological skills to actually use it effectively, may not have the devices to actually use it effectively, so then we come into issues of equality. The important thing with any system, and hopefully you're doing that with your data dashboard or your MIS system or your website for your Moodle portal, VLE, whatever systems you actually got in place, you're actually tracking usage, and you know, to measure impact in some way or another. You could be spending a lot of money keeping it up to date, but if no parents are actually using it, then you know, there's questions to be asked there, I think. And once it's up and running, keep improving it, offering more facilities perhaps, making it a bit more user-friendly. And what I would say as well nowadays is certainly make it multi-device capable. You know, on iPhones, Android devices, iPads, as well as to a normal conventional laptop or computer. There's some discussion going on in the chat. Security settings, yes, is definitely an issue to be taken up with the IT support teams. They would already have systems in place in one form or another for accessing or for people accessing systems from outside their organisation, you know, via remote desktop or whatever. So they will have firewalls and other filtering systems to make sure that things are as secure as possible. But they're all issues to consider. The Data Protection Act is obviously a little bit of a minefield, but it's reasonably clear as to, you know, what or who is allowed to access student data. The main points from it, I mean, I put together some sort of notes, but I'm not an expert on the legal side. I'm going to give some suggestions as to who are, to actually go on and chat with them at some stage in the future. The main points appear to be obtaining permission from the student before sharing any data about them. If you've got 14 to 16 students, it's slightly different. You know, the data is sort of organised, managed by the school. I say rather than through yourselves, unless some sort of agreement has been made with the school. For 16 to 18, parental permission to access the data, you know, will only come from the students, and if they're over 18 and classed as adults, they needn't necessarily give permission at all. So those are the sort of key concepts. But the main thing I would say, although permission may not necessarily be granted, the procedures you probably have in use already on the use of data may well be directly transferable to, you know, the idea of putting the portals together. So you've already got MIS data in your organisation. You know who you can share that with, and with employers, and who is allowed to share what. And with staff and with students themselves and with parents. So I would say, you know, it's worth just a check on that, just to make sure you're staying within the bounds of the Data Protection Act. What I would say though, that if you do want further guidance on this, JISC Legal, who are part of the JISC system, you know, obviously which we are part of as well, they can guide you. There's a lot of information on there. And they'll be able to provide you with some document templates and other advice if you wish. Kevin's just put a link in there to JISC Legal, and you know, if you just do a search for parents or parental, you know, that you should be able to find the relevant sort of documents in there. But I would say, you know, contact JISC Legal. They're the most important guide that we have, you know, using JISC. There's some chat, I don't know if some of you are following it, you know, about apps and so on, and security that's coming on there, so worth having a look at if you want to. Actually accessing the portal, when I've looked at who's actually providing the portal out there, whether it's schools or whether it's colleges or other providers, and universities as well, students, you know, are allowing access to their parents often by some organisations are saying, you know, you give the students login details to the parents, so that the student directly talks to the parent and say, these are my login details. Obviously, the student has got to give permission for that. So that's one way of parents accessing the portal. Another way is to actually have a separate login. So your IT staff would then have to think about how they're going to manage that. Can I just ask those that have a portal at the moment, how do parents actually get access at the moment? Do they have a separate login, or do they have the students actually giving login details? Because I've seen both in use. So if anyone wants to chat in there, I'll just talk. Okay, there's a couple of them. Okay, we're setting up a parent account on our Active Directory at college. Yeah. Okay, yes, have to ask for it. Okay, so there's a couple more bits of typing going on in the chat. Right. Okay, separate login. Thanks, Philip. Okay, I'm just going to move on. Separate login. I'll recap on some of those. Parents sitting with their child using student login. So, accessing the data, once they've got access to the data, what about security and confidentiality on their computer device? You really need to be pretty strict about this. And, the guidance that you're giving to parents, they've got to sign some sort of agreement, I would say, because chances are they'll be storing some of it away, not just accessing it, but they might be storing it, and that raises another issue. Storing it away perhaps on computers, laptops, USB sticks, portable hard disks, the cloud, on their mobile device, their iPad, their Android, whatever it is, they could be storing that away. So they really do need some guidance that if they are doing that, what needs to be done. And I would probably suggest that they don't actually. So it could actually be in part of the agreed terms of use. So I don't know if that's something that you've thought of when you've given information to parents on how to access the system. They need to be very clear in what they can actually do with it. Paul suggested actually providing fairly basic information for that reason. So. And also bear in mind also that students can withdraw authority for parental access or employer access at any time. What are you going to do then? Will you disable? Have you got it in place, systems in place to disable that account, for instance? Okay. Parent accounts given view-only rights, not editable. Okay. Right, just moving on. All right, this is the last slide from myself. It's getting on with time now. Data Protection Act obviously has guidance there, and some of you will be familiar with that because you've written the terms yourself for your own MIS systems. Just Legal I've mentioned, and I've had the link in the pane, and contact your local regional support centres as well. We can provide you with advice and sort of more contacts, and don't forget, of course, the CMIS network list at all. So, if you haven't got a portal at the moment, you need to be thinking about it. But some have already made a decision not to, and that's fine as well. So a little bit of input there. I'm going to keep quiet now, right? And if there's any more questions, right? Okay, so let's have a chat about benchmarking. We'll meet next from Martin. Yep, okay, right. Moving on. I'm going to pass over now to Noel to sort of chip in. And Noel's our technical advisor on the RSC Southwest.
Hello, yeah, can you hear me okay?
Okay, fine there. Okay, so yeah.
Well, hopefully this will be more of a discussion, and please feel free to test your talk buttons and come out of your muteness to join in. The reason I brought this up is that about 10 days ago now I received a question from one of the IT managers at one of the colleges that we support. He's recently taken responsibility for the MIS section and systems. And one of the first things that arrived on his desk, having taken that responsibility, was a bill for Oracle licenses. And he was pretty much amazed to find that he had a scope of 3,000 licenses for named people for a given price, where he knew that in effect there were only about 200 people that ever accessed the systems, and a lot of those were on a very ad hoc basis. And so, surprised at having 3,000 named users as licenses, he then wanted to push a question out before he went and spoke to Oracle, which I did on his behalf. And the information that came back from the group, and hopefully you'll endorse it or provide some more information on it, was that tread carefully. You're in a minefield, and it would appear that the advice from other colleges, when I sent on this question anonymously on his behalf to collect information, is that they're saying that really whoever was a reseller that sold them their Oracle instance at the first time, they will have provided some sort of campus agreement, and that would have been based on FTE, well, on full-time staff and FTE equivalent of students, and that they would probably have had a good price, and that they are then required to do a self-declaration each year that the status quo remains such, and therefore the pricing, subject to inflation and things like that, stays about the same and moves forward. And the caveat on that, which is very much anecdotal, because people do seem to want to be protective over what they've got, and for those that have disclosed information to me, there is variation in what people are paying. Aside from an upfront setup cost, annual fees for similar sized providers seem to be varying from about 6K, 7K, up to exceptionally 23K for licenses. And the trepidation that's been voiced by many of the managers that have come back to me is that if you go to Oracle to try and negotiate based on named users, on number of actual users on that thing, is that they would like to come in and audit your actual usage. And if they do so, and they arrive at a different figure, then the costing won't be subject to this educational discount that your reseller offered you, and may also be retrospectively applied onto the previous years that you've been running the instance. And so really that's the state that I'm at, and that's the question, and really just wondered what everybody else's experience is in this area. So if you want to come back to me with any comments.
It's a bit quiet in the chat there. If anyone does want to talk, if they want to click the talk button, if they've got the microphone there. So.
I mean, a follow-on from some of the other people that came back to me in this area is that they're actively looking to move out to SQL, away from Oracle and into standard SQL databases. Would that be replicated across the region?
Mike's just put a comment there, actually migrating away from Oracle and Lisa and moved to SQL. Yeah, I've certainly heard instances. I think it was from Stanford, actually, New College Stanford, that they've moved to SQL, and Louise has just sort of confirmed that process of moving to SQL because of the cost of Oracle. Yeah, there's a lot of people moving away. Experiences that and tend to get a lower price when Oracle result and finding a way to charge more. Yes.
Yeah, and that's the comment that I've been getting from the IT managers that I've spoken to, that everybody's worried about it. The evidence, though, is anecdotal at the moment. Everybody seems to have this worry in the back of their head, but I haven't seen anything documented.
Yeah, well, there's certainly quite a few in there. They're actually moving over to SQL away from Oracle.
Yeah.
Away from Oracle. So it's not so much
definition of FTE as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's the case with these 3,000 name users. Most of them with a student count within that database.
Yeah. Yes, it's certainly an issue. Mike says as well, if you're using the EBS, our advice is to consider migrating to Microsoft SQL. We anticipate savings within 2 years. Yeah, it's certainly something that I think is definitely on the move now.
Okay, so a summary up of that then is that really, people are with Oracle, it is a live and trusted system that's embedded into many of their top-level systems, and so people have to bite the bullet in many instances. But I suspect where people can and have, and as is the evidence in the chat pane, they can move away into another database, then they will do. And in the case of Mike Dakin there, they've moved away even further from Microsoft licensing into oh no, sorry, they have moved in. I thought that said MySQL from no, it's MS SQL. Sorry. Yep. Yep. Okay.
Okay. Gary mentions about watch out for features installed by default but not used. Is that a watch out?
Right.
Is it? Sorry, Gary. Watch out for features installed by default but not used. Are you suggesting? Yeah. Are you suggesting that puts the price up? Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks very much for the feedback there. I think that's certainly helpful. And is that helpful to yourself, Noel? As
yeah,
well?
that's helpful to me, and hopefully it's informed the other group. You know, particularly those that are sitting in Oracle at the moment, begrudging the payment and too frightened to negotiate, to see that other people have successfully moved away to SQL-based solutions.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. The mileage on a sector license. I don't think that would happen, Gary.
I mean, the one advantage of the campus agreement is it does allow you unlimited virtual processors, and that was the other caveat of getting Oracle in, is that they will then start to count the CPUs that could possibly be used to access the Oracle, and that would change your costings mechanism as well.
Okay. Right. Well, thanks very much. We've just got a little bit of time left. So, you know, is there anyone that wants to sort of come in, just post a question, or you know, this is to your colleagues, as I would say, really. You know, posting a question. Is there anything on there, you know, that you might want some quick feedback on, perhaps from what others are doing in other organisations? Thanks very much for that, Noel. Appreciate that. Okay, I'll just, it was very quiet and they first type, I think. I'm not seeing any, I'm seeing Gary with a bit away. Okay. Okay, I'm not seeing anything there, I don't think, is it? Gary, I've tried to yeah. Yeah, it was just a point about the Oracle one. So, okay. Right. Well, you know, of course, there's always the CMS list anyway that you can contribute to if you're on the FE colleges there. So, okay. There doesn't appear to be any more sort of questions. So, thank you very much for coming in. Hopefully, you've got something from the meeting. And like I was saying at the beginning, you know, this is your forum, this is a chance to actually have control of the webinar, to actually ask questions, put things, items on the agenda, you know, that are relevant to yourselves. So this first one, you know, has been ourselves in the RSC, but it would be great if you know, you've got some particular questions, we can use them next time. So in the meantime, post things on the CMS Network Just Now list if you're on the FE sector, or you can contact me. Next meeting will be in the spring term, probably in March time. Noel, haven't decided on the date yet, got to sort that one out, but we'll keep you posted. And my telephone details are on there, or you can go to the website, www.giscrsc.ac.uk. Thanks very much for coming in, and we'll send around the presentation so you can have that after the meeting. So, so thanks very much then, Darryl. Okay, and to file. Okay, right. Thanks very much then. All right. Hope to see you very soon. Please do get in touch with us. Thanks so much.